Augmented and virtual reality are going to change everything about the future, including the way we work. Certain jobs are, of course, going to change more prominently and immediately than others, and we're going to use this occasional series to take a look at some of them. This time around, we're going to look at the role of law enforcement, and whatever you think, we'd love to hear from you in the comments. You might think that utilising cutting-edge technology to increase the efficiency of crime fighting is something that only Batman needs to think about. But it turns out our everyday boys and girls in blue are figuring out new and interesting ways to incorporate AR and VR into policing, so at least the caped crusader can put his feet up every once in a while. For the police, VR is a fantastic training tool, and the decreasing cost of such tech is finally making it a more viable option. For years, police training revolved around the very human world of real-life role-play scenarios, and while interactive video training methods began to creep in during the early 90s, the cost ran at upwards of $100,000 a unit. With modern VR, however, pretty much any room can become a training ground for any policing scenario. A traffic stop, for instance, with a human-controlled driver avatar who may or not comply with orders. What does the officer do? Someone with severe mental issues is possibly posing a danger to themselves and the public. How can an officer proceed? This is perhaps one of the most interesting things about police VR training. The most obvious application, many would say, would be for firearms training, but instead there is a huge focus on the equally important areas of empathy, judgment, and de-escalating tense situations. Using VR to create a more human-focused police force can only be a good thing. This isn't to say that VR police training is all about de-escalation, of course. As any police officer will tell you, it's a sad fact that non-violent confrontation is sometimes simply not an option. The EU's AugMed, Automated Serious Game Scenario Generator for Mixed Reality Training, creates VR scenarios involving both terrorists and civilians for counter-terrorism training. But after all this, police recruits are out of simulated reality and placed on the streets, which are very real indeed. And this is where AR takes a firm lead over VR in practical applications. AR is something that authorities imagine as being a huge part of the police's future. The FBI even put together a research paper, Improving Our View of the World, Police and Augmented Reality Technology, that helps to envisage this bold new world. How can AR wearables help your average police officer? Lots of ways. They can identify known criminals using facial, voice print, and biometrics. They can highlight chemical, biological, and explosive dangers. They can create scalable maps and traffic data to ease rapid response situations. And if things really kick off and the SWAT team needs to be called in, expect them to be heavily AR equipped in the future too. On a base level, communication with their fellow team members will be greatly enhanced. Advanced optics will provide zoom, thermal, and infrared imaging for the location of their targets, while identification, friend or foe, IFF technology will make sure gunfire stays directed at the right person. Yet it's not all about boots on the ground. Investigation and crime solving will have its AR boosters too. A future forensics team will hit a crime scene armed with AR video, audio, and sensing devices used to visualize blood patterns, blood stains, and other sensor-detectable forensic data. And if surveillance is needed, robots, UAVs, and police officers managed through an AR network will be a huge help, as will advanced optics that allow investigators to lip read from great distances. Finally, there's the obvious fact that all these police departments need some sort of central organisation. AR will assist with real-time monitoring of patrol activities, coordination and dispersal of units, and perhaps most innovatively, supervision of suitability to respond. AR can also use monitoring capabilities to delegate dangerous tasks to those who are mentally and physically best able to perform. It certainly looks like the long arm of the law is twisting in all sorts of interesting directions. So what do you think? Is AR and VR the future of law enforcement? Leave your comments below, and don't forget to subscribe and share.